morning, Kilbourne. This is your WKHS news for Friday, March 19th, 2021. I'm Kendall Timms.
And I'm Amaya Harris. Since we are going all in starting next week, there are many questions as to what it will look like for students and teachers.
Tess and Julie explain how going back 5 days a week will work.
Monday, March 22nd, the Worthington School District will go back to all-in school. Instead of 6 foot, we will be maintaining a 3-foot distance. We talked to Worthington Kilbourne teachers to see how this will affect them and their concerns of going back to all-in.
For me as a teacher, it's going to be great to be all-in because up until now, we've had to not just teach our live classes, but also be creators of online content. And that's an additional layer of work that honestly has been pretty tiring, pretty exhausting this year. I would say that the sheer volume of work that we've had to do as teachers has probably increased, 20-30%, maybe more than that.
Going in, all in, as a teacher, I don't think is going to affect us much in the sense of we're still here every day, we're teaching the same amount of classes every day. It does help us that we can move a little quicker through the curriculum. We don't have to teach everything twice for Green Day and Blue Day, but we can actually probably get more done in half the time and hopefully progress towards our ultimate goals at the end of the school year to be where we need to be. So that would be the helpful part of going all in.
For our teachers, I think it's going to be difficult for them because they've been here every day, and the difference for them is just getting back to managing a classroom that has more people in it. I don't think necessarily they're going to have many behavior problems per se, but I know that the difference for them will be more the volume of what they're doing from a classroom management standpoint.
I think that we're going to continue our protocols as best we can. Shifting from 6 feet of separation to 3 feet seems to be something that health officials think is safe as long as we're wearing masks and as long as we're being smart about getting any closer than that or spending time in closer proximity. I think maybe my biggest concern is kids are going to have to make another transition, and that's always hard. But in terms of personal concerns, I don't have a lot of worries.
The concerns I would have about going all in center around spacing within the classroom. And I guess, possible spreading of the virus, even with masks on, is still a possibility. So that would be my concern. We want kids back in the classroom, but if that would cause that one person to develop the COVID virus and be in the hospital on a respirator and possibly die, is that worth it?
I think naturally it's just making sure that kids are trying to stay socially distanced. Now that's moving from 6 feet to 3 feet in classroom settings. But in the lunchroom settings, when their masks are off and eating, students are going to be required to still be 6 feet apart. So I want to make sure that they're continuing to wash their hands, and when they're not eating, wearing their masks appropriately over their nose, mouth, and chin, and doing other things that can mitigate the spread of the virus.
Starting on Monday, March 22nd, be prepared to maintain a 3-foot social distance between yourself and your classmates and properly follow the COVID guidelines set by the school. This has been Julie Berry and Tess Petrucci with your WKHS News.
Many students from our senior class are playing their sports at the next level. Jack and Micah talked to these students about the process it took them to get there and their goals for their next seasons.
Going to college is a big commitment for students, but being a student athlete presents its own challenges. WKHS athletes explain how they made their decision to play at the collegiate level.
I decided to play in college because pretty much I'd be bored in college if I didn't play. I really like baseball, so I think it was a no-brainer for me to get a play. For me, it was pretty easy because there wasn't a lot of looks from like D2, so this was really the only school that gave me money, so I figured it'd probably be the best situation to get some money off of my tuition. Some advice I'd give is probably just like keep grinding, and if you want to play somewhere, somebody will find you. So that's about it. I mean, it's pretty simple.
I really wanted to play in college because I had put a lot of work in, and the more I continued to practice, the more I fell in love with the sport, and I knew for a long time that I wanted to play in college, so it was just kind of the natural progression for me. The process was actually really easy towards the end, of course, but it got very complicated in the middle when other schools started to become appealing. The more schools you have in the mix, the harder it gets, but I always loved Michigan State, so that was my goal. I worked towards it, and in the end, it's where I ended up. So my hard work paid off, and it made the decision process really easy.
I decided to play in college because, one, I like football. Two, it's going to help me stay on task with my school stuff. I'm going to get to meet a lot of new people, and I'm going to get money off. So things that go into the process, basically someone recruiting you hits you up on Twitter or something, and you guys talk for a while, and then if you're really serious about it, then you'll eventually get a visit. With Corona this year, it's kind of screwed up, but basically, if they like you and you like them, you're gonna end up there. Some advice would probably be to reach out to them and don't just be stagnant, stand by. Put yourself out there and let them know that you want to come to their school.
Congratulations to those students. This has been Jack Wasick and Micah Hill, WKHS News.
Now that we are going back to school 5 days a week, there are going to be some new rules put in place, specifically the new 3 feet social distancing rule. Van and Nicholas explain these new rules and how they will work.
On March 22nd, students will be moving from a hybrid schedule into full 5-day school. In order to do this, there will be some new rules.
What will the new mask rules and social distancing rules be once we go back full time?
Yeah, the mask rules aren't going to change much. I know the CDC has come out with double masking as a recommendation, but that's all we'll do as well. We just want to make sure students are wearing it over their nose, mouth, and chin. And we also are moving from 6 feet of social distancing to 3 feet of social distancing in all places except when students have their masks off, which will be when they're eating during the lunch periods.
What happens if a student is exposed to COVID?
If they're exposed and we deem that they're in close contact, students are notified through our nurse's office, our clinic, and we assign them to quarantine and then try to work on an academic plan so they don't fall behind. But those same regulations will be in place. But tables have to be 6 feet apart, much like they are out there, except we're going to use 6-foot tables instead of student desks and chairs because they need to go back in the classroom. And we'll have overflow spaces that include outside areas for kids to eat, especially when it's nice. But we may be eating along the halls.
Are you comfortable with being 3 feet away from people?
Yeah, just because, I don't know, it's basically normal.
How do you feel about going on?
I'm pretty excited, but I'm worried about how my sleep schedule is going to be and not getting any days off.
How do you feel about going back full time?
I'm looking forward to seeing the kids again. I know the kids are excited to come back to school, so I'm excited to see them as well.
Do you have any concerns about it?
Just making sure that our safety guidelines are still being followed, but I know that the school and the district are doing what they need to do to make that happen.
This was Nicholas Richards and Van Ferguson.
March Madness is back. Many students are excited to make their brackets and bet on their favorite teams. Wesley and Caden get students' opinions on how March Madness will play out this year.
March Madness is an event that sports fans look forward to every year. It is one of the most exciting times in sports each year. With the cancellation of last year's tournament, many players chose to come back for a shot at the national championship. We talked to students about their thoughts on this year's tournament and which team they see coming out on top.
Do you think March Madness getting canceled last year will affect how the players play this year?
Yeah, for sure. I think them having no season last year, or at least no tournament, will make them play a lot harder because that's just a chip they'll be carrying on their shoulder.
Will you be filling out a bracket this year?
Yeah, I'll probably make like 2 or 3 just because gotta have the variation.
Who are you picking to win the national championship this year?
This year, I got Michigan, but don't sleep on my boys from Georgetown.
I know for the guys that lost their spring season last year to the coronavirus, this year means a lot, and I think it'll be the exact same way for the college guys. I think it'll be a lot of motion this year. I will be filling out a bracket, and I hate to say it, but I think it looks good for Michigan this year. They've had a really good season. I think they're going to play well in the tournament.
I don't think it'll have that much of an effect. Obviously, the freshmen and sophomores, so the sophomores that were freshmen last year don't have that experience. But honestly, I mean, I think it'll just help guys. It'll motivate them after missing out on it last year, especially some teams that maybe thought they could go all the way last year are even more motivated this year to do well and play well. Yes, I will be filling out a bracket. I've already got like 5, and I'm in like 2 different groups and all sorts of stuff. So it's probably my favorite time of year, just with St. Patrick's Day and March Madness, and just a great time of year, and so excited, and especially after not having it last year.
Make sure you tune into this year's tournament with games starting today at noon. This has been Wesley Frank and Caden Bevelander, WKHS News.
Seth and Ethan are back with another Player of the Week. This gymnast qualified for the all-around competition at States and is a great asset to our girls gymnastics team. Stay tuned to hear more.
Emily Mossick is a senior here at Kilbourne and is competing in her 4th season on the gymnastics team. Emily qualified for the state meet for her 2nd year in a row alongside 2 other Kilbourne gymnasts. In addition to her general success, Emily excelled on the floor, becoming the OCC floor champion. We talked to Emily about her current success. How does it feel to qualify for the state meet 2 years in a row?
It feels good knowing that I qualified this year outright. Last year I was the alternate, so it just felt good to have hard work pay off.
And how special is it to make that meet alongside 2 other Kilbourne gymnasts?
I think it's super special that I get to compete with 2 other people on my team. Sophomore year, I made it as an individual, and it just didn't feel the same. So I'm excited to have people with me this year.
How have you developed as a gymnast throughout the season?
I've definitely become more of a leader, I feel like, this year more than the last couple years. And I'm just every day trying to get better and stronger.
What has been your key to success over the past few seasons here at Kilbourne?
The last few seasons, I just go in every single practice with a good mindset and just trying to do my best every single day. And I feel like that's been my main key, is just putting in all the work.
Who is someone who's inspired you as a person throughout the past few seasons?
Definitely my coaches, just seeing all the hard work that they put in to have us have our seasons and just see what happens behind the scenes has been really inspiring, and just seeing all their hard work and dedication.
This has been Ethan Moore and Seth Anderson with your Player of the Week.
This has been your WKHS News. Tonight, our boys lacrosse team is home at 7 against Watterson, so be sure to wish them luck.
Tomorrow, our girls water polo team also plays at 10:30. Make sure you support them. Thanks for watching. Have a fun and safe week in Kilbourne, and stay healthy.
Opportunity to play their sport for a year. Christian and Harrison.
And look, the camera just looks over here. Okay, good, great.